Thank you. Usually I don't use a mic. I'm an educator, I'm a teacher, so apparently I have a good voice. So, bonjour tout le monde. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Martine Pellerin. I would like to start, typical teacher, with a little exercise. I'm going to ask you to close your eyes for a second, okay? And then imagine for all the one who had especially to prepare the presentation or speech or to do some coaching, and then you have your own private coach 24/7. Open your eyes. Okay, so you say, okay, that would be great. And then imagine now for the student teacher and the novice teacher or any teacher to have this personal coach. Well, today, this is what we're going to share with you. This is our project, and we're going to look at how we're going to transform not only the teaching, but especially the supervision for the teacher in training, but also the teacher who are starting their profession, and maybe even some who have more experience but still need to look back at their practice and keep improving their practice. So, I'm doing this right? Yeah, okay. I'm not alone on this team, and actually I have my colleagues, Dr. Hiroki Ishizuka in Japan. He was not able to be here, but I have two amazing young men here. First, Devon.
Hello, I'm Damon Mears. I graduated from U of A last semester.
Hi, I'm Matthew Mackey, and I'm in my last year of computing science at U Alberta here.
If you notice, they are undergraduate students. Okay, so one of the things that maybe I will make you in charge of this. So one of the big issues right now in education is teacher shortage. We all, you've been here because you had good teacher, and good teacher are extremely important. But we have this issue right now, and we also have this issue, and it's more problematic in rural and remote area. For example, I was in Plamondon a couple of weeks ago. How many of you have been up north around there? No, but it's small, but it's great. Okay, but having said that, so there's a shortage of teacher also there. There's another big issue that as an educator, it's a preoccupation, is our student teacher don't have the possibility to go in those rural, remote area to do their teacher training. And if they don't do this, if they do their training in Edmonton or Calgary, which is great for us, but not so great for them. So they don't go back, and it has an impact. It has an impact on the quality, okay, of teaching, because it means there's lesser teacher, bigger class and everything. But there's also something that all concerned right now, what we're going through, it's with the consequence on the economy and the growth of the economy and the type of workforce that we can really develop if we don't have the next one yet. Okay, up, down, 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 down. Okay, so the solution, okay, technological innovation. So when we talk about technology, when we talk AI, we don't talk so much about education. My field is educational technology, so I integrate AI with education. And so what we've been thinking here is to use that technology and the AI to really personal feedback and mentoring for our student teacher, but like I said, it's also for teacher already in service, and also to look at the use of the high-speed 5G connectivity and the new one to overcome geographic and infrastructure barrier. Okay, so we don't build from nothing, okay? So it started with a project that my colleague in Japan already built, and it was for second language teacher, English teacher in Japan. And what it was built on a program that coding for classroom second language. And then what it done is that to automatically do the coding, so it means the system coded the recorded not the video, but the audio. So it's based on the audio. It recorded, coded, analysis, and provide some feedback on PDF. Next. So this was great, okay? And then we brought it in 2022. We were caught in the COVID too, so we had a little bit of delay. That was great, but for French immersion teacher, we had many, many issues. And one issue is the system was in Japan, and it was not responding to our reality here in Alberta. The system was also outdated, and especially the speech recognition. And like I said, it was based for English second language in a different context. And the category for the coding was really based on second language. So our teacher, French immersion, or all our teachers teach not only one subject, but many subjects. So next, yeah. So but having said that, it was a really good base, and we say, hey, if we can look at maybe with AI, we can really improve the system and make it our own and see all the possibility. And this is what we've done. We brought the system back, and those two gentlemen here rebuilt the whole structure, upgraded everything. But one of the big things that I was really researching was the MLASR, Multilingual Automatic Speech Recognition, which was, you know, in the past, really a problem for the system to recognize. It was English, yeah. Any other language, trouble. And so now with the system, it makes a whole difference. Precision transcription, automatic language detection across multilingual contexts. And again, we have the power also for really support the downloading of the feedback, like I said. And then also we expanding the coding, so it's not only for language teacher, French, it's all language, all teacher. And other field, then I will talk about it later. Next one. So we went from the old system to 25 AI supervision system, and we're aiming with more AI and machine learning. And this is not my turn, your turn. Thanks. So we're going to do, Devin and Matthew are going to do a little demo of the system, what it looks like, how it works.
So this is our AI supervision system that we've been working on over the, I don't know, what has it been, past 6 months or so? Yeah. Here. There we go. Okay. Good. Yeah, that should work. Okay. So yeah. I'm just going to give you guys a walkthrough. So to start off, this is the main page that you're greeted with. Now, let's pretend I'm about to teach a class this afternoon. So say we're teaching an English class in the afternoon, and we're going to hit start. So once this loads here, this is the page that you're greeted with. Now, right here we have our coding table. So these are basically like the categories for when you're teaching, for basically different activities that you're going to be doing. And we have 3 options. First one is record encoding. So that would be you're teaching a class live. Second, you can upload a video of a previously recorded class. And the third option is code with no video. So that would be just manually entering in the data and manually typing what has been said, which is less fun. So let's do the more fun one, record encoding. And so this brings up a nice little preview. And so I'm going to pretend I'm teaching a quick little English class. So hello, everyone. Please open your books to page 45. Let's say underline any of the verbs, something like that. You can tell I'm not a teacher. So so yeah, it runs it through our model here, and you can see all the words I said, and along with all the different categories here. I can click on a summary. So right here brings up on the side. So this right here has my global scores. So it looks like I spent most of my time in managing the class, using extended text with the book that I don't have, and L2NS, which is language 2. So this is assuming that I'm teaching like English to French-speaking students, for example. You have an option to download this as a PDF, which you can see here. So you can share that. Now, the next thing I'm going to show you is if we click on Home here. Say if I already have an already uploaded video. So say we have a coding class, and then we can upload the video. So here, Davin has recorded himself solving a coding problem. So you can see this is a longer video, so about 3 minutes. So this will take a little bit longer to do the process, but in a second here, it should show up. There we go. So you can see all the transcribed data here, and then along with all the different categories. Now, the cool part about this is if we go into the previous ones, these are all the classes that I have, quote unquote, taught. And we can check them all off and compare them. So here I can see my progress. So my first practicum that I did today, believe it or not, I scored a 9 on the global score. And then this English afternoon, I did a lot better. I scored a 15. So you can see these categories. And then the coding class, which I realized I misspelled that. That's OK. I scored a 10. And again, you can download this as a PDF, which then you could share with your supervising teacher. So we have it like that. So yeah, that's all I have to show you. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for being here, everyone. And thank you to the panelists for joining. It's really exciting to talk about Martine's technology, but also to hear your perspectives on what this could mean. So I'll start with Martine. I happen to know that you came from rural Quebec, and you are an educator, right? So what is it that led you to study in this area? What challenges did you face?
Well, I'm a little bit shy about saying that it's been 40 years I'm in the business of education, so please don't start counting here. But what I'm saying here, I was 20 years a French immersion teacher in Calgary, and then after that at the university, Calgary, but I came to Edmonton, and then I did teaching, preparing teacher, but also my job is also supervision with a student and research. Like I said to some of you, my PhD was in educational technology and also second language. So this is my background that I bring. But for me, I work with a student in the whole aspect of using technology to document your learning. So what we've done is I've done the video. So students were recording themselves with video, and we had talk about it, and it was great. But it was what we call qualitative data. So I met my colleague, Dr. Ishisuka, in 2018 at the conference Ed Media in Vancouver, and he was in the same block as me in the presentation, and he saw my presentation, he said, "You need to stay for my presentation." I said, "Okay, I will." And then just before he finished his presentation, I said, "We need to talk," and he said, "We need to talk." So we team up because what he had, it was that quantitative aspect of the documentation to help students to reflect on their practice, to improve their practice, that was missing with the video. So the video is nothing new. I work on the e-documentation, so this is new. What is new is to be able to have feedback right away and to be able to document this in a way that we're doing it with the AI. Thanks.
Okay, well, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, and then if I'm thinking from your perspective, Eric, as the deputy superintendent, you have not one school, because I understand you are responsible for overseeing the work in Edmonton, but also in many small communities. So this whole idea of having it be across urban-rural split that the 5G enables is a big factor. So I can only imagine what sort of challenges do you come up with when it comes to ensuring top-notch training and top-notch teachers in the school district in general?
Thank you. Hello, everyone. You'll see I'm a francophone. You see the accent, probably. Okay. We have 21 schools in our school division, most in Edmonton, but we have school in Fort McMurray, in Red Deer, in Lloydminster, in Jasper, in Canmore, in Red Deer. And a couple years ago, what I experienced was during my supervision in the school is that the new teacher didn't have the same level of support, didn't have the same level of supervision. So to attract teacher, what I discovered is, first of all, you need to make sure, you need to develop a structure that they will feel comfortable with the support. And we did that 4 years ago, and we changed all our structure of supervision. Now we have an harmonization of the way the principal do their supervision. Now we have that all new teachers got the same level of support, same level of supervision. Now the next step will be how the principal do the supervision, how they will decide that's a good teacher, that's a really good teacher, this teacher need to improve. And sometimes I was a principal of a school of 32 students in Zeeland Park, Saskatchewan, and sometimes just to have the teacher was enough to say, I will keep you even if you don't have good practices. And that's not good for students when we are using that way. So with what Martine is doing, that would be a great tool to make sure that our principal are looking at the same stuff. With a tool like that, we can use different category and say, what is a A? And what do we do in supervision? And to me, the chance that we have with this tool is that we'll bring all our principal to the supervision the same way, and to get data, to the same data. Let's say we have a teacher, I told you that I was a principal in a 32 student school, and when the teacher said, yeah, I will stay next year, okay, good, I'm happy, you're gonna stay next year. But now, that won't be the data. Now will be with what they show, we will be able to see, okay, is the teacher in Zeeland Park, is that as good as the teacher in Saskatoon? Because we're using the same tools. Sorry for my English, but I hope you understand what I'm saying.
I think your English is great.
Okay.
And it's clear that from your perspective, it's really the systematic approach, to a problem that didn't really have a systematic approach before. So that's really, really interesting. And you can imagine that it's much more broadly applicable than it might come across right away.
Absolutely.
So Christina, for your role, I mean, my understanding is that your role is as a supervisor for teacher trainees. So you have a lot of insight, I would assume, on this topic. So I wonder if you could sort of speak to what this technology could mean.
For sure. Just to clarify what my role is, I supervise student teachers in their practicums when they are placed in schools with a cooperating teacher. So they will do an 8 or 9 week practicum twice in their degree, during their degree before they graduate. And once they finish that, they will go out and hopefully find a job. So I, during the course of their practicum, meet with them a few times. I provide feedback, and also I am the final say in their evaluation. And where I most see this tool applicable is in rural settings, because we are not employed to go out of the cities to supervise student teachers. So if a student teacher gets a placement in a rural setting, I am grateful if I'm able to see them on camera through a Zoom and supervise them and evaluate them through the little camera lens. So now I had an opportunity to use Martine's technology a few years back before it was updated, the program. And I did have a student during COVID that was in Bonnyville, and she agreed to participate in this pilot project at the time. And it was a great tool because it provided feedback to her. She could go sit and review her lessons. She could go view the video, but she could also see what the tool generated for data. And then I could also, in turn, be able to watch some of her lessons because I'm not there to see them. I might just get a little glimpse of one that I happen to be on camera for, but I don't see the full class. I don't see everything from A to Z, and I don't see everything all week that's going on. So it was a way for me to be able to provide her with extra feedback. And what we need as teachers is as much feedback as possible, especially when we're starting out as newbies. There's many hurdles that one faces, and just to be able to get your degree is no longer enough. You may be starting as a new teacher and teaching subjects you have no background in, and yet you may be in a rural setting with very limited support. So I see this tool as being applicable both prior to being a finished teacher, and then even after, to be able to continue to mentor teachers when they're new teachers as well.
That's interesting because it sounds like it's not a big, bad, scary AI tool, right? You know, because I mean, there's a lot of concern over what role will this play and will it be unfettered, you know, in its execution, and where do humans come in? And it sounds like it almost could supplement what you're doing.
In a way, but I don't think it's ever going to take necessarily the human role out, because the human actually humanizes, you know, providing that verbal support. I don't think that the actual tool is going to say, well, this happened, so now you're going to need to do this. Well, there's always the context, there's always the background, there's always the extra pieces that the tool's not going to be able to decipher. So I think as a package, they're going to support each other really well.
And I think that the tool will capture more. Like when you go in a classroom, you do supervision. Well, maybe she will look at something that I'm looking at different thing, but with the tools, it will bring you stats at the same point that can.
And you don't capture everything.
No,
you
you
don't
don't.
see it all. I might not see what you see, and vice versa, like you said. But also, this will provide you with another set of eyes or another set of ideas saying, oh, this happened. Did you recognize that?
Another thing that's
No, it's okay.
Another thing that's powerful is we are hiring most of our teachers from Campus Saint-Jean, and let's say they're using a tool like that. Well, when the teacher come in our school division, we already have information. We already have, so we can the continuous improvement would be better because we're using the same tool.
It's documented, and then you also have checks and balances, and you can go back and say, this is what happened previously. So it's always good to have that.
Yeah, absolutely. And Martine, I wonder if you could speak to, and this is actually for everyone, if you could speak to other areas of education that this could apply to.
Yes, like I said in the beginning of the presentation, I always think about health, and for example, nursing. It's the same thing with the issue of remote area where the nurse are, if they do their practicum or they go, we want them to go in the rural community. So this is that whole issue there. So, and social, in any field, and I'm thinking when I did that little imagery exercise, this type of in marketing, or anybody that does sales speech or has to do a speech, how many of you practice in front of a mirror and the mirror doesn't really give you some feedback, or you might record yourself, but you know, or you might have somebody that listen to you, but you don't have something very tangible. So it can apply to many fields where you need to have feedback on your performance, on the way you speak, or the way you interact with a client, for example. So there's the limit is the sky, what I would say.
And it sounds like some work would have to be done on developing the categories for those different areas.
Exactly. This is where we mentioned, and that was the issue with the first AI code. It was developed for second language in a very specific context. But what we have now is the next step is to evolve. And when somebody that takes this or wants this application, well, this is when we work on the category. That aspect of category, this is what will be evolving and adapting depending on the context.
How I saw it even too was if you had a special child that had high needs in your class and you have to document that and you don't always have a chance to do that, using this tool, it would actually say the verbal script as to what happened and how many times he said a certain word or acted out. You could program the technology to put that in, and then you'd actually have a record that was properly and accurately tabulated, right?
And again, then having that systematized, you know, the accurate record of, you know, a child is struggling, having that systematized across the region is huge.
Because then you can also get funding too, or whatever,
Right.
you know, you can cover the needs that are having to be met that you don't necessarily have a chance to do as one teacher with sometimes over 30 kids. You
Yeah.
can't do it all.
Well, that's really interesting, and I thank you so much for your time on that.
Okay, well, thank you, Leanne.